Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time. This time on the Kindness Project, cold foods, sword play, and we have part 2 of our interview with Ben Payne.
Welcome to the Kindness Project.
Kindness Project.
I'm joined.
Oh, we've got a theme tune.
I'm joined by someone who is a bubble of energy and likes to sneak into my bed for late night movies.
Not me.
It's Sophie Dames.
And I am joined by a man who likes to sneak into Charlotte.
Right, now that is not true.
He came and woke me up this morning. I was trying to listen to my movie soundtrack.
Let's be honest, right? Every now and again, I do pop into Charlotte's bedroom and have a little cuddle, okay? I don't do it in the middle of the night. That would be weird.
She does it.
That would be weird. Sometimes I ask for a little cuddle from you, but before we start talking about inappropriate and appropriate cuddling, I'd like to introduce Russell, who loves an inappropriate cuddle, apparently.
Russell!
Also a sword fight. You know?
And he loves a sword fight.
We'll talk about sword fighting in a minute. But first, I'm joined
Not real sword fighting, fake sword fighting.
Okay, I'm joined by a girl who might be doing every single question of the podcast coming up. It's Charlotte Dames. And the reason being, and we'll come on to sword fighting in a minute, but the reason being is because you asked a question of the podcast, which was this week's, what's your favourite cold food? And I thought it wasn't a particularly...
I was hungry, what can I say?
I thought it wasn't a particularly...
What can I say except you're welcome?
Good song. I thought it was going to go down like
A lead balloon.
cold semolina, but it's going down like a cold pizza in the fridge that you just want to eat like the following lunchtime. They're my two extremes. Cold semolina, don't touch it. Cold pizza in the fridge.
Bin it.
No, eat it. I'm eating the lunchtime cold pizza. So let me ask you a question, so before we get on to you poking.
Sword fighting.
What is that? I mean, we're not really talking about sword fighting because what I've experienced since Russ has come down is basically you poking him quite a lot with a sword and Russell going and not knowing what to say. And I did suggest you have a conversation with him today.
I don't like conversations. That's why.
You're guest hosting a podcast.
What's
you realise?
a conversation?
I'm not going to have a conversation.
No, just when I'm bored, I don't like having a conversation. It makes me even more bored.
Okay, so what do you like to do when you're bored? Poke people with swords?
Yes.
It's made of foam, if that makes it any better. She wasn't using my wooden one, so... You know.
She was at one point.
I was.
Are you high-fiving violence?
No, I'm high-fiving sword play.
I mean, what I'm worried about is... You're high-fiving sword play.
Playing with fake
Sometimes
swords.
I think you're Victorian. I'm high-fiving sword play. Who's ever said that?
A couple of people, I'm sure.
I'm high-fiving gruel.
No one ever high-fives gruel unless you work for someone who's giving out gruel.
Gruel's like a porridge thing they used to do.
Remember they fed it to Oliver Twist.
Have you ever heard the story of Oliver Twist?
No, but I have been fed very watery porridge though.
By who?
The fairy people.
Fairy people.
Russ, how do you feel about getting stabbed by a sword for the past week?
It's fine.
It's fine.
Anything that makes the girl happy.
Right. Chopping your head off might make her happy. You're not going to let her do it.
I'm not gonna.
Give me a go once.
So that's the only time you're going to give it a go once. Sorry, Sophie, you just said you're not going to, right?
No, I'm just gonna poke him with my fake sword.
Right, but let's say you poke him and like a balloon, it goes like that. What happens then?
Too bad.
Too bad. Too bad.
It's a balloon.
There's
Right,
really no fixing it if that happens.
What where like, if you pop Russell when it explodes like a balloon, there is no way of fixing it.
We can get some helium and
Yeah.
a balloon pump.
You know what? Kids, don't try this because it is dangerous. But have you ever seen on YouTube or something like that somebody suck helium through and their voice changes, doesn't it?
Goes
Now I'm saying this to the 7-year-old in the room. Don't do it because it is quite dangerous, but also quite funny when you hear it.
I only sucked that much in.
And what happened? So, favourite. I mean, like, a future question of the podcast could be, what's your favourite hobby? And Sophie's would be poking Russell with a sword. But what's your
What
favourite?
about the question of podcast?
My head.
Well, today's question of the podcast is, what's your favourite cold food? So what's yours, Soph?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Charlotte?
Potato salad.
Potato salad.
Oh, good choice.
I was thinking, tuna mayo sweet corn pasta, but potato salads
Oh, yes.
with like chive and
Yeah.
mayonnaise and sour cream.
Would you, sorry, Sophie, going back to your spaghetti, are you saying cold spaghetti, just spaghetti, or cold spaghetti and meatballs?
Cold spag bowl.
Spag bowl, amazing. And what's yours, Russ?
Definitely not cold spam.
I wouldn't say that. The salt might come out. You won't get-
I think mine's chorizo.
Chorizo. I've heard you like a good sausage. I've heard that. So, what we'd like to know, listeners, is what's your favourite cold food? And if you'd like to throw in your least favourite cold food,
Go ahead.
Please, go ahead.
Do it, enjoy yourself.
Now there's
Do it.
Now there's a wide range of ways you can get in touch with us. The MySpace, the
Jeeves, ask
Ask
Jeeves about us.
the Friends Reunited,
Ask Goggle.
Ask Goggle. But the three most popular ways people get in touch are
Facebook, Twitter, and email, of course.
Facebook, Twitter, and email. Now, Sophie, I know you've jumped on the podcast a few times. Do you know what the Twitter handle is?
No.
If people can get in touch with us, you're sacked. Charlotte, do you know what the Twitter handle is?
At Ola Kindness.
At Holokindness. Do you know, Sophie, last chance, you're not sacked, you're rehired, as long as you can get
No.
the email address.
No.
You're sacked again.
Ola
Charlotte,
at thekindnessproject.co.uk.
holler at thekindnessproject.co.uk. And Sophie, if people want to find us on Facebook, how do they do that? All they do, simply, you're definitely sacked, is your P45. All they do is they put in their search bar the Kindness Project, and
And it works on Google as well.
it does. We are top of Google for the Kindness Project. So just put the Kindness Project into Google and you'll find us immediately.
Oh, and plus we're what, the 17th happiest?
I reckon we're at least 15th now. So
We try our best.
we do try. So have you got any? What else have you been up to this week, Charlotte?
School.
School.
Jinx.
And it's your first week back, isn't it?
My last year
Of the last year of secondary school. How do you feel about it?
No.
tired.
I'm tired.
I've been back 2 days and I really want to go back on
Daddy.
holiday.
You know
Daddy,
what? You know
When
what?
are you going back to school?
I never stop studying. I've got an exam in a month. So I'm always at school.
I've got 140 days to my exams.
But you are not alone, Charlotte, because this week it's my first proper week, like after the summer back at work. I'm struggling a bit as well. It's been quite a tough week. You're back on Monday, aren't you, Sophie? How are you feeling about it?
On Monday, I never go to work. On Tuesday, I stay at home. On Wednesday,
I'm never feeling fine.
Work is the last thing on my
Have you
mind.
forgot the words to that song? How are you feeling about going back to school?
On Monday, I really
So-
love school. I really like it.
You really like it? Okay, so what are you looking forward to? Because you're now in junior school, aren't you? So what do you think is going to be different between junior and baby school? Harder? Why are you looking at me like that?
It's not baby school.
Well, infant school is it called infant school?
Yeah.
What's an infant? It's like just above a baby, isn't it? So what are you calling this one? Just junior?
Yes.
Okay, fine. And what are you looking forward to the most?
School.
About your new school?
Friends.
Friends.
Are all your friends from your old school going to your new school?
I don't know. That much.
Glad you're so prepared for Monday.
2 more days.
When you going back to school, Russ?
I'm not.
You know, he's done with school.
He's completely off school.
He's not going back to school again.
Done work, done school, all nothing.
Eternal summer holiday.
His life is this podcast, Charlotte.
I thought we helped you a bit as well.
It does help me a bit. It helps me. It doesn't help me a bit. It helps me a lot.
A lot.
Can I, before we go on to the interview, can I just say one thing? This podcast apparently is about kindness, and I want to share something that Sophie did yesterday that I thought was an amazing bit of kindness.
Now, if you were about to say "Poke me with a song,"
It was. So, Russell was trying to lose a bit of weight at the minute, and to aid that weight loss, Sophie poked him with a sword quite a lot, so he had to wobble a bit more, therefore losing a few extra calories. And maybe if Sophie pokes him really hard, he will explode, and that will be losing quite a lot of weight.
And there's literal sense to cut the calories.
Oh! Fantastic!
I got this. Oopsie.
Yeah. Where's Russ? I was just up there on that wall. Look, he went splat. No, I tell you what. Sophie did completely off her own back that I thought was amazing. We went into London yesterday because it was the last day before school, wasn't it?
I had a tiny, whiny hot chocolate.
You did have a tiny one.
And I had a free hot chocolate. Oh, and now I know.
Well,
About.
we walked across the road. I bought a coffee and a bit of cake for us for the train. Okay?
It wasn't cake.
And Sophie decided to give the lady a little thank you note with a smiley face on. And she went, big smile on her face, thank you, that's really appreciated. So it worked first time. Second time, we were in Pret a Manger by Fenchurch Street.
I had a free hot chocolate.
And walked up to the counter, ordered a hot chocolate because we were having a chill. And
I was really cold.
And Sophie smiled, and the lady gave us
A free hot
chocolate for free. Now, I said to Soph, I need to drag her around London because that never happens to me. I never get free hot chocolates. But I said to Sophie, as you wrote a little thank you note for that lady in the station, can you write a thank you note for her? And you did a nice big one, did you? Thank you for my hot chocolate.
Free hot chocolate.
And she had a big, broad, beaming smile on her face and absolutely appreciated the little note.
Do you remember that time we were abroad and I didn't have any money to give the man as a tip, so I wrote a piece of life advice and a receipt?
What life advice did you give him?
I don't remember.
Never give up. Never give up.
Never give up.
Maybe in a future podcast we'll do life advice, but for now, should we get on the show?
Yes.
We should.
So, this week we've got part 2 of an interview with a man called Ben Payne. Now, I met Ben Payne jumping out of a plane. In the rain. It wasn't in the rain.
No, it was a very sunny day.
It was sunny.
My eyes hurt.
Ben is involved in, used to be involved in the Ministry of Stories, has now left there, but agreed very kindly to come on and talk to us about the Ministry of Storage, which was amazing. But me and Sophie was having a conversation
Dad?
about, yeah.
Did you meet him was Ben Payne the guy that was on your back?
No. Ben Payne wasn't the guy that was on my back. The guy that was on my back when I jumped out of the plane was I can't remember his name. I think it was Brad.
Ben Payne.
No.
No, Ben was in front of
Ben
him.
Payne. Could have been Ben Payne actually, but Ben was the guy who jumped out before me.
Ben Payne.
Yeah. So, and he's very smart. Ben Brain. Let's not even go there.
No, and Ben Gain.
So, no, it wasn't the guy I jumped out with, but he jumped out before me. If you remember, because you were there that day, he had a T-shirt on from a charity called the Ministry of Stories.
I don't remember that.
No. And I said to him, I was meant to come to one of your events a couple of weeks ago, couldn't make it, but I invited him on the podcast to talk about the amazing work he does. Now, you two should love the work he does, because what he does is...
He works at the Hoxton Monster Supply.
He does. He works at Hoxton...
Well, did. Past tense.
Oh, all right, buddy. But yeah, so Ben helps children write better stories. That's what he used to do through his work with the Ministry of Stories. Should we listen to the second part of the interview?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Charlotte's got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's your favourite story that is, or thing that's happened during your work at the Ministries of Stories?
Oh.
I suppose it's hard to, where do you start, I'd imagine? Where do you start?
Yeah. I think the things that I've found really inspiring and really sort of endorse what we do is where you see really immediately or directly the change that happens in a child or young person.
In attitude, in outlook, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can be like a little moment. So I remember in a film that we did about a songwriting project called Share More Air.
Okay.
And we captured them. What that project was about 50 children wrote original song lyrics. And then they were given to kind of professional bands and musicians to turn into, fully produced.
Oh, amazing! Yeah. So who wrote the
songs
tunes?
were, just beautiful and amazing, all from the kind of imaginations of 8 to 12-year-olds. So
yeah,
really.
Who wrote the melodies? Was it the musicians themselves?
It was the musicians, yeah. So they did have some conversations with the children and young people about what their sort of intentions were with the pieces of music. But the idea was that they worked for quite a while on crafting the song, and then they gave them to the musicians and bands to take away from them.
Amazing.
And in the video, what happens is, I can send it to you so you can see the moment.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. Yeah.
It's a child in front of a laptop, and it's press play, and he hears his song being played back to him for the first time.
Now that sounds amazing. That sounds just your words turned into a medium that you love. Absolutely love that.
And it, it's absolutely about that. It's about that sense that it becomes possible, and you suddenly see the words that you've put out in the world coming back to you and being responded to in the most extraordinary way. And not every child gets that, but that's what we're trying to do on a daily basis, is in small ways and in different ways to affect that kind
Inspire
of change.
People, yeah. Okay, so Charlotte's going to ask the next one as well, because she has been. We haven't visited yet, have we, Charlotte? But
no.
It's been in your list for ages, so I'll let you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I'll let you ask questions, Evan.
So many spelling errors in this one sentence. It's incredible.
Right. Why are you critiquing my writing when we're on?
I can't
Ben's
understand.
had this email. Ben's had this.
I can't understand what it's meant to say.
Right.
I don't mean spelling, I meant grammar.
Right, okay, no, the grammar is awful. I've read it myself, the grammar is awful. But thanks for the critique. I appreciate it.
I can't understand what it's trying to say.
Well, where does Hoxton Street Monster Supplies fit in with the Ministry of Stories? And what does it sell? Because you're, do you know? I mean,
Not a clue.
before
I just want to
you,
go have a look here.
before you start, Ben, I just want to give Charlotte an opportunity to not critique my writing. Thank you very much for that.
So worth it.
But just where did you learn about Oxford Street Monster Supplies? Because you told me about that, didn't you?
I was looking for things to do. I got bored.
You got bored. You were looking for things to do, and what was the thing that you?
We ended up going to that tequila place.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you, Hoxton Street Monster Supplies is still on your list,
still on my
isn't
list.
it? So, can you tell us a little bit about it and what it does?
Yes, absolutely. Well, Hoxton Street Monster Supplies is a real shop, and it's a shop for monsters, so it's not a shop about monsters. So what we sell in the shop is things that monsters need on an everyday basis.
Okay.
So some examples of that are we sell breath fresheners for zombies.
Yeah.
And we sell kind of monsters are not really allowed to go around just eating humans kind of willy-nilly now. So we serve up kind of human preserves, so
Okay.
discrete packed pieces of human in jam form.
Okay, cool.
And that is something that they can go in and buy, and it kind of passes as jams and preserves.
Right.
We also sell tinned fear, because monsters, like humans, sometimes have bad days. They don't feel that they're really up to it, and they're not feeling very scary. So a bit like canned laughter, we sell tinned fear, and the fear comes in different grades. So the mildest dose is a vague sense of unease, and then it goes right up to mortal terror, which is the sort of strongest dose.
I want a tin of Mortal Terror. I don't think I'd ever open a tin of Mortal Terror, but
I
just
want a tin of slight unease.
what other grades have you? We quite like buying fear. That's a revelation, Charlotte. What other grades have you got, Ben?
There's a vague sense of unease. There is the collywobbles. I think the next grade up is heebie-jeebies.
Oh, the heebie-jeebies.
No, the next grade is escalating panic, then the heebie-jeebies, and then mortal terror.
I want to invite somebody in and go in, look, I want to be hospitable. Would you like a cup of tea,
And a can of heebie-jeebies.
a cup of tea, a beer, a gin and tonic, or alternatively, you can have a can of heebie-jeebies. I mean, I just want to offer that to a guest at some point in the future. Oh, I love that.
So it basically does two things, I think, really. So it is a real shop. So humans can go and shop there and buy stuff, and it contributes to it contributes to the income of the charity, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
But it also, I guess, operates as a sort of manifestation of some of the kind of
imagination
values that we've talked about. So it's there between a real dry cleaner, and a nail bar on the other side. And you literally walk in as a child, as an adult, off an ordinary street into this, fully created space, which is a story, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an imaginative space that says, well, it's completely possible for their shop to be a shop for monsters to exist, and we have a volunteer shopkeeper whose job is to tell the story behind the shop, that it was founded in 1818 by Igor, who had to flee a torch-bearing mob from Transylvania, wanted to serve the local monster clientele, and this is where he decided to set up his shop. And then when children come, it's a way of disrupting expectations, I guess.
Yeah.
And they have to find the secret door in the shelves that will take them through to Ministry of Stories that exists the other side of the shelves.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And is Hoxton a big place for monster congregation? Then I'd imagine it's quite a populated place to live if you're a monster. I thought they'd live on the Yorkshire Moors or something.
There are many monsters living in the area. You just don't necessarily see them.
I'm from East London, so I can say that, Ben. So I sort of know that. I know that when I was doing my research on the Ministry of Stories, you also do one-to-one mentoring. Is that just part of the process? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really fundamental part of the model, really. So we believe that children and young people make progress with their writing through getting some form of one-to-one support, which, as I say, is not always possible for a teacher to do. There's somebody to, listen to your ideas, to ask the right kind of questions, to be encouraging, to be a kind of sounding board, to get the ideas out, to develop them, and then see it through to a kind of finished piece of work. So that effectively is what those mentors do, and it's an extraordinarily important part of the mission and how we deliver the work, really.
Amazing. And I suppose now you've sort of you've broken ties with the Ministry of Stories and you're onto pastures new. Do you know what the future holds for the Ministry of Stories?
Yeah, I think there is a real desire to kind of expand the programme within London. So we have slightly expanded, as I'm aware was sort of happening in the few months before I left, to kind of schools that are outside those three boroughs. But I think a really important thing that we've also done is we've mentored and supported two other organisations, one in Yorkshire in Rotherham and one down in Brighton, to basically set up and
duplicate the process.
And the last kind of thing that I was doing was actually looking at how it could go further than that. So running a kind of training program for people who want to not necessarily set up a whole new centre with a shop and everything that you need with that, but to kind of learn from the training and the methodology that we do, to basically set up programs that are, right for children and young people all across the country. And that ultimately would be a brilliant thing that I would hope the ministry would be able to achieve, is that sort of sense that, anywhere in the country a child has got access to this kind of support.
Yeah, I think personally, with my business head on, you're missing an opportunity, because I'd like to go to my local Tesco's and buy a can of heebie-jeebie, wouldn't you, Charlotte?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I just think right, we need to sort of
Today I need a moderate fear level. How about a heebie-jeebie?
And the interesting thing is, you're talking to us about the Ministry of Stories today, but you're not there anymore. So what's the future hold for you? I'm kind of pursuing some of the writing projects that I've had on hold for quite a long time while I've been doing the ministry, so that's been good. But I am setting up a partnership with a guy called Gerald Richards, who is actually the CEO of the network of American centres that I was talking about earlier. And he finished up his job there about 18 months ago and has relocated to the UK. We're really interested in, sort of passionate about helping other charities and other organisations set up, start up, establish themselves and replicate. And, hopefully what we can do is to help them do that with our kind of support and advice, and maybe not to make some of the mistakes that we made, but also in a more positive way that actually helps them to kind of get their mission out there and get out helping the people that they want to help with their work. And so that's something that we're really excited about. And we're just getting going. We're literally sort of 6 weeks into the process. What do you think?
Nice responses.
What do you think the biggest mistake that, if you did it again, that you'd potentially avoid? What's the biggest mistake you made in the setup of the charity? Or
that's a good question. I think the thing that really held us back when it was just Lucy and I as the sort of founders But we were probably at that time both kind of naturally quite risk averse.
Okay.
And we were actually coming from a quite a different mindset from having worked in sort of artistic institutions and had a whole sort of set of ideas about, you know, what we'd done before. And we were very good at telling the story of the organisation, and I think that's sometimes something that some founders and some charities sort of struggle with, how to get their, you know, what they do
story
across in a way that's interesting and compelling, and but is authentic to them.
Yeah.
I think we were all right at that, but I think we realised that we really needed to ask people for help.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do it all on our own. When you're setting up something that is a sort of voluntary organisation or a non-profit, you really need people to get involved, to support your mission.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you ask people, if they believe in what you do as a charity, will genuinely do the most brilliant extraordinary help get it off the ground. Yeah. So we literally had to get better at asking people, and that's what switched it into not just being about us and us trying to do it, but becoming a kind of movement to get this thing off the ground and happening.
Sometimes there's a fear of doing that, isn't there? There's the fear of rejection in terms of like going,
and the fear that you're going to get it wrong. And I think we did get things wrong, but because we were doing it in a way that was thoughtful, and we tried things out in a small way and began to develop a whole way of doing sort of innovation and you know, prototyping things. We just got more confident that rather than, you know, we were going to make a mistake and it was going to screw everything up. If we made a mistake, we would learn from the mistake and be able to do something. Yeah,
I think generally speaking, I mean, my experience is that if your intentions are good and your values are, people know that you're genuine and authentic and you're trying your best, often mistakes are forgivable in any walk of life, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Because people know that you've not done anything intentionally, you've tried your hardest, but sometimes things go wrong, I think, you know. You just got to...
in a strange way, that's exactly what we're trying to support the children with, to sort of understand that, you know... I quite like the idea that creativity is actually mistakes, that if you're a child and you're going to write something, you know, you're not necessarily going to get everything right, and actually the fun thing is learning from the things that you don't quite get right, and you know, the random stuff and the stuff that doesn't make sense is actually the exciting and fun stuff. So creating an organisation where it is okay to kind of do that, and that's part of the learning and the process is really important.
Yeah, I think we sometimes forget that as adults, though, don't we? That's the challenge. It's like sort of creative, like just making mistakes and learning from it comes natural as kids. But it's sometimes as adults,
how they learn. You know, whereas as adults we get very sort of worried that we're going to be punished for, you know, we're going to look stupid or you know, and it's very sometimes it's very counterproductive, that sort of.
You know what's interesting? I've written an article recently. I think it's going out on the work website on Thursday about mental health, because I think there's and again, nothing to do with what we do as a business, but I just think somebody needs to stand up and go, you know what, if you're struggling, you need to talk about it. You are not going to be judged for being authentic. You know, I had a guy who we do some work with who phoned me on Monday and said, look, and I've made a commitment to you, but I'm really struggling emotionally at the minute and mentally. And actually, my first reaction, Ben, was super brave, but I shouldn't have felt that. Do you know what I mean? I should have felt that actually he should be able to say that, and me turn around and I did. I said, look, you know, look, completely with you. Take the time you need. I'm on the phone if you need me. Just let me help. But I think there was a fear in his voice where he didn't know how I was going to react, and there was an intimidation. And I thought, you know, that's really brave of him to admit that. I think we need to encourage more of that conversation around people being vulnerable enough to say, like, number one, as you say, I need help, but also I'm struggling, and you need to sort of cut me some slack a bit. I think it's an interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So before we tell our audience about where they can find us and or where they can find you and all about you, one of the things we do on the podcast, and we as we record this, I'm not sure when your podcast is going to be going out, but as we record this, we are 75 episodes in, so we've been doing this a while now. Every week we ask our audience a question. Now, that question typically isn't kindness related. It can be related to anything, and we get a bunch of normally quite amusing answers, Charlotte.
We have a giggle.
On the answers. I want to ask you some questions, and I thought a really good one to start would be, and I just want to put some context to this. We were talking on the podcast, was it last week, Charlotte? And Charlotte shared a story about when she fell over a rock onto a cat. Now, what's the strangest thing you fell on, over, or off? Now, you can't say out of a plane because that was intentional. So that it needs to be an accidental story of when you've fell on, over, or off something strange.
Fell over something strange. Oh my goodness. I don't know it was falling over something strange, but I got out of a taxi in London probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I think I made the taxi driver's night because it was one of those really, really heavy snowfall winters where the snow was literally sort of stacked up. And I got out of the cab, and this was before Ubers and things like that.
Yeah.
And we'd been having a little chat.
Yeah.
He dropped me off, and I gave him the money, and I said, "Thank you very much." And then I just tripped straight into the snow.
Oh no! Was alcohol involved, Ben?
I don't think it was. I'm actually pretty awfully clumsy. I'm not the most coordinated people. Yeah. Which was why I think my nearest and dearest were really quite concerned about the jumping out of the plane thing.
Yeah.
They went, "You are probably one of the clumsiest people that I know."
Yeah, you don't want to be clumsy that high up either. That's the thing, do you? What in your opinion is the greatest man-made wonder of the world?
Oh, lordy, these are difficult questions. The greatest man-made wonder of the world. I would say probably. I always think of the pyramids in Egypt.
Okay, fair enough.
Just.
Okay, so Charlotte's got one for you.
Feedback's come back.
Hold on. Right, Ben, can you hear me?
It's going slightly.
Right, let me log out and I'll come back. 2 seconds, just bear with me. Just press record. That's fine, that's working. So let me Charlotte's going to ask you a question, which is...
So if you were on the Great British Bake Off, the final, what would you bake?
Is the showstopper of the Great British Bake Off, what are you going to bake?
What am I going to bake? Well, I have to say, the bits of Bake Off that I've seen that I've been really impressed by is when they make something massive out of biscuits.
Oh, I love it. Now
like some huge architectural sort of thing, or
like St Paul's Cathedral, and it's out of shortbread or something. It's like
a shortbread St Paul's Cathedral.
They are amazing. So I'd probably like to create like a sort of dinosaur jungle out of biscuits.
Love it. And that brings us on to probably one of our most contentious questions of all time. What's the world's best biscuit? I mean, did you remember that?
Oh my god. The Jaffa cake debate.
Well, you know what? We somebody mentioned Jaffa cakes, and it all went wrong, Ben, because
Well, they're officially not biscuits, are they? Or they are biscuits. There's a whole thing about it.
Yeah, I think we almost lost.
Who you should definitely interview about that is the guy who used to be our lawyer and helped us set up Ministry of Stories. He used to be our company secretary, and he is an actual expert in biscuits. What he doesn't know about biscuits is
nothing.
You just don't.
So he's a biscuit aficionado, is he?
He's a biscuit connoisseur.
Is that professionally? Because I know because when we started talking about biscuits on the podcast, somebody did mention that there was legal action to prove that the Jaffa cakes were actually a cake, not a biscuit. I think they were proven to be a cake, weren't they? In the end?
Yes. But he knows all about that because he's also a lawyer. You know, about intellectual property. So some of this is him. Okay.
So what's your favourite biscuit?
Oh, I quite like the dark chocolate digestives if I'm really pushed to.
Good choice.
Yeah, it's a fairly sort of standard, but I like the dark chocolate on them.
No, the classics are the best with a twist.
Yeah,
is
there's
good.
an air of sort of sophistication.
Dark chocolate, Ben. Dark chocolate, Ben, because you're worth it.
What's wrong with white chocolate? Jesus. Okay. Next question. Who's the world's greatest detective?
Who's the world's greatest detective?
Yeah.
Was that the question?
Yeah.
Who's the world's greatest detective? Well, in terms of entertainment value, I think Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah, well, he was popular actually, so yeah, you're not alone on that.
Yes.
Love it. Who's the world's best literary detective?
Literary detective. Well, Hercule Poirot is probably the classic, isn't it?
You'd go for that, Charlotte, wouldn't you? Or not?
I'd say he's really well written, but I'd say the best, as in solving skills, would be Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock, yeah, definitely.
Arthur Conan Doyle, but I prefer Hercule Poirot because I love all those books.
Yeah. So we're gonna ask two more. One's gonna be writing related, but one's gonna be just completely bizarre. Who's your favourite Muppet? Again.
Oh, were you expecting us to start with the writing one? No.
No, we're not going to do that.
Who's my favourite Muppet? I think Fozzie Bear has to be.
Thank you!
You like Fozzie. Animal has got to be the ultimate, just the absolute ultimate. But yeah, all good. And then this was interestingly, because we're both book lovers, this was the first question we asked in episode 1 of our podcast. So Charlotte, do you want to ask this one?
If you could be any book character from one of your favourite books, who would you choose?
Sorry, I didn't quite. If I could be anything, any what?
Any character from one of your favourite books, who would you choose?
Oh, these are more difficult questions than the interview questions.
yeah, and we like to keep them like sort of tucked away so people give us genuine answers as well.
That's so hard.
Okay, let me give you a less serious one.
Can I narrow it down? There's actually I don't want. Well, do I want to be him? There's a wonderful book called The Confederacy of Dunces.
Okay, I've heard of that. I haven't read it.
Do you know that book?
I've not read it.
It's you have to read it. It's so funny.
Okay.
I mean, it really
Who's it by,
is very,
Ben?
very funny. And there's a character in that called Miss Trixie.
Okay. Love it.
who is just. I mean, we would all want to be Miss Trixie when we get old.
Right, I'm adding it to my book list. Confederacy of Dunces is added. Ben, that's been amazing. Really loved chatting to you today. And apologies for the bizarre questions at the end, but
it's all fun.
You answered really well. Thanks for your time today, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye, Charlotte.
It's good.
Good.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it. Should we get on the show?
Yes.
Yes. Tis the end.
I think no, we've done it now.
Tis the end.
We can do it more than once. Tis the end.
Tis the end.
Dad, do you want to go?
No, right, because we've done it 12 times now. It is the end of
We've
the
done
podcast.
it. We've done it 5 times.
5 times. It is the end of the podcast.
Tis the
I
end.
don't think I've ever seen a look of disdain as severe as the one Charlotte just gave me when I said to Sophie, "Go on, darling, you do the end of the podcast." She's like, "No, that's my job." But the end.
It's never the end because the end is always the beginning of something new. Yes.
And we always do last week's question of the podcast
Tis
this
the
week.
end.
Now I think you might have a really good answer to this, so.
What?
Because you love an internet black hole, don't you? You love watching stuff that just wastes your time on the internet.
Oh yeah.
Right, just one tip. Nothing to be proud of, darling. I love wasting time on the internet. Talk to us about your favourite internet time wasters.
I don't know.
I'd say for
YouTube.
I'd say it's probably Cartoon Network, Steven Universe, Amazing World of Gumball. What else do they do? Adventure Time.
I don't really watch Adventure Time.
No, that's because it's over. R.I.P.
So it's the universe, isn't it?
Yeah, but they released the movie on the 2nd, and it was great.
Can we watch it tonight?
Not again. We
Please.
watched it last night.
Please.
So you two, YouTube, what thing do you, because my YouTube internet black hole is
Donald Trump.
Is definitely CNN. So
Donald Trump, because you love it with him.
I don't love Donald Trump actually. I'm not a fan, particularly.
He's your boyfriend.
What? You do realise I'm 42, not 7, right? Donald Trump is your boyfriend. Isn't the way you insult a 42-year-old man. It might work on your mates in the classroom, but Donald Trump is your boyfriend, or you love Donald Trump, isn't the way that a 7-year-old and a 42-year-old have a conversation, alright?
You love Donald Trump.
Right, can we stop saying I love Donald Trump? I clearly feel the opposite.
Daddy likes Donald
But I
Trump.
do not love Donald Trump.
Oh no, he's blushing.
What I'm doing when I watch news about Donald Trump is keeping an eye on the
We
way.
love Donald Trump.
Right, you know what? You and Donald Trump would get on quite well because you've got the same mentality. Don't you? Right, I do not love Donald Trump.
Don't
alright?
push me away from you.
I wonder how far I can push this chair away so that you can do it.
No.
Anyway, so I do like watching the news, particularly American news, and I do
Because you
like
love Donald Trump.
anything about video games. So any game-related videos I quite like. What do you watch on YouTube a lot?
Push me away, please.
I don't know. I spend a lot of time on YouTube. Spend a lot of time on Wattpad and
Yeah, really.
Pinterest and because
Anyway,
that's good.
You answered this question online.
Yeah, I did.
And what was your answer?
Football manager.
Russell does look like a bit of a football manager today because despite it being quite hot, he's got his sports jacket on and it looks like it's not coming off anytime soon. What football manager would you aspire to be?
I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
I just enjoyed the strategy of it. And after a long day of editing these podcasts,
You make it sound like work.
it is work.
Oh, I thought it was fun.
I thought we were fun.
I thought we were fun.
Are
I
we
don't know
fun?
about that. You two might be, but I don't get any of the fun jobs.
Oh, It's a shame.
I get all the hassle, you two get all the recording.
Oh, what?
And
We
the free
free.
dinners.
Right. What?
Free dinners?
What fruit dinners?
You went down to Vash's place and...
Oh, I did. And,
That wasn't free, we had to pay for that.
yeah, but the donation did go to charity, so I didn't mind doing it. We've got a very... I'm sure the edit's going to go on strike soon.
I'll do it.
I mean, if we actually paid him, that might be a worry, but yeah. Oh, you're going to edit.
No, I haven't got any software. And my laptop's not compatible with most mainstream software anyway.
Perhaps you only use it all day, so.
You can't get Audacity on my laptop.
No, I use Adobe to edit it.
Alright.
You can't get that on my laptop either. You can only get apps on my laptop and they don't work. Ouch.
So Russell, so far in this podcast, Russell's expressed how he gets all the rubbish jobs. And as thanks, Sophie pokes him with a stick. So that's all.
And it's made of styrofoam.
A sword.
Styrofoam.
So, we had a bunch of different answers for this question.
A bunch.
YouTube was actually quite a lot of them, but let me
A
share,
giant woman handful.
let me share them with you, and as soon as I find them. So, internet black holes. Let's talk about this. Andrew Berwick said Eve Online. Now, what is Eve? I think it's an online game, but Eve Online, and then he did a smiley face, and then a wonky smiley face, so that's good. Second one, John Cook, friend of the show, said...
Old episodes of Crime Watch on YouTube. Fancying a bit of...
Fascinating bit of forensic and social history. Francis Barrett said...
Can I say one?
But it's also my job because she's in social media. Russell Dames said football manager, and John Sharman agreed, saying we've all been there. You know what my biggest time wasting game is online, and I haven't played it for years, but I love it. Civilization.
Oh.
That is an amazing.
What a game that was.
Oh, Russell is getting excited.
I used to waste-
Civilization is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I used to waste time on Moshi Monsters.
No way
Good
else
times.
was a good day.
Go on.
Especially if you go to Romford for a bit of city planning. SimCity.
Right, SimCity used to be a good game, okay, but going to Romford for a bit of city planning. SimCity used to be a good game, but the latest one.
Don't say City Skylines. It's not a patch on the original SimCity.
Yeah, but the original one was good, but the one where you had to plan line wasn't particularly good.
No,
It lost
I
its-
agree with that.
It lost its further. Mandy Medlock, friend of the show, said solitaire. She loves it and she's addicted. And Sean Acton said
Candy Crush!
Now, Sean Acton, I know, he's a 52-year-old man. He obviously doesn't speak like a 7-year-old, so do you want to try a 52-year-old man's voice? Sean Acton said, as you speak, do it again? Candy Crush. Okay, fine.
I'm passing to a bit of Mahjong. Ah, love a bit of Mahjong.
You know what my one used to be back in the day, like pre-internet? Minesweeper.
Oh, mine's love on the old window.
Rush is loving this. Oh! Civilization.
On the original GUI of Windows, the Minesweeper.
Yeah.
That was bad.
I had this app a little while ago, and it was like you had to investigate crimes, but to get to the certain levels, you had to play mahjong games in time limits, and it was amazing.
What game is that?
Was it
Mystery
called Crime
Mahjong,
Scene?
huh?
Was it called Crime Scene?
No, that's the one where you pick out all the bits from the crime scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was like a reenactment of Murder on the Orient Express, but you had to play mahjong between all the chapters, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I used to like Mahjong, but I don't know if I'd like sort of. I don't know if I'd jump out of bed to play Mahjong. Don't know if I'd jump out of bed to play Minesweeper. What would you jump out of bed for? Fire. Anyway, we've gone off on a tangent as per usual, but this, my friends, is an end of another episode of the Conference Book.
It's the end!
It is truly the end now.
Bye.